Nothing compares to witnessing it live, in person. The roar of the crowd, the adrenaline, the rush of high-fiving random strangers. Don't miss your chance to be part of the epic showdowns, classic rivalries, and primetime games under the lights. Tickets to all regular season games are on sale now. Take your seat. Visit NFL.com/tickets to purchase your tickets today.
Monday Night Football wrapping up a wild Week 6 in the NFL as the Chargers host the Cowboys. America's team coming to town for a primetime game. Always a big day, but the key for Asante Samuel Jr. and company is not treating it that way, following their stunning losses to the Jets and the Browns. Tom Brady, part of a team that came the closest to perfection since the 72 Dolphins. And the Philly and San Francisco defeats show just how hard it is, according to the GOAT.
It seems like it's only getting more difficult to do. You know, we were close, and we had a great team that year. Man, to win every game that's a hard thing.
20, it's the snap, four-man rush, second down, 9 from behind, ball knocked away, Highsmith. It's picked up by Watt from the 15 to the 10 to the 5. Touchdown! Pittsburgh touchdown! T.J. Watt! Mahomes looking, right side, throws, end zone, touchdown! Travis Kelce! Patrick Mahomes with a strike, and he delivers. 14-yard score, and the Chiefs add to their lead. Shotgun snap, Brock Purdy airing it out, deep for Debo in the end zone, makes the catch on the right side of the end zone for the touchdown. 27 yards to Debo Samuel, and San Francisco may have just put it away.
Tagovailoa on the gun, takes the snap, back to pass, looking, going deep down the right side for Hill, makes the catch, loses the defense, and he is gone down the right sideline. Touchdown Miami. Second big break for Hill. One pass, it lands at the 20-yard line. He's there, zeros on the clock. It's over. The Chiefs have won. The Chiefs have won Super Bowl 57.
Every primetime game.
Whatever it takes.
All season long.
The only thing matters is a win. That's it.
The road to Super Bowl 58 is on Westwood One.
Let's go, man.
If you've been thinking about buying a home, you need to be in the zone, the home buying zone. You need a game plan to win in this great real estate market. The Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage has all your bases covered. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, purchasing your dream home, refinancing, consolidating debt, or even considering a reverse mortgage, contact the Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage today. They have the lowest closing costs, and they'll close your loan on time, guaranteed, or they'll pay your first mortgage payment. And they even have a 3.5% purchase down payment grant that can get you into a home with little money out of your pocket. It doesn't get more clutch than that, folks. Score big on the biggest purchase of your life. Call Equity Zone Mortgage today at 1-800-772-8624. That's 1-800-772-8624. Or apply online at equityzonemortgage.com and tell them Big C sent you, as heard on the Big C Sports Podcast. License number 018148868.
Amazing moments happen so much at SiriusXM. We want you to see them. SiriusXM Video lets you watch some of your favorite SiriusXM shows on the SXM app. Groundbreaking interviews, amazing in-show moments, behind-the-scenes footage, live performances, all come to life in a way you only imagined before. Plus, you can create your own personalized Pandora station based on the artists you love. And hear over 100 extra channels filled with ad-free music for every mood or occasion. Get your first 6 months of our Platinum plan for only $8.33 per month, plus fees and taxes. Just call 844-711-8800 to take advantage of this amazing offer.
There you go now.
I think I'm recording.
Oh, that's nice. See it. There you go now.
I think I'm recording.
Oh, that's nice. See it.
Brings you more new comedy. Comedy Central Radio. Laugh USA. Raw Dog Comedy. More exclusive comedy.
Netflix is a joke. More than you bargained for, right?
10 months of that dollar. I'm telling you, people, being funny on the radio.
More classic comedy. Comedy greats. More down-home comedy.
Jeff and Larry's Comedy Roundup.
Get it in. And more stuff you can't hear anywhere else.
He's so funny on SiriusXM. Comedy by women.
To hear the SiriusXM Comedy Channel, to reach your radio now, call 844-711-8800 or go to SiriusXM.com/go to sign up quickly.
Rondo Deportes, bonjour, veni vidi vici. Let's get ready to rumble. Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton of Big C Sports. This is Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe with 29 podcast applications. What a beautiful day, October 16th. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. A beautiful day in the neighborhood. Won't you be mine? Won't you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor? Like I say, I'm trying to bring the neighborhood together because that's what good neighbors do. But some people don't appreciate it when it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Give me some praise. You can follow Basic Sports on 29 podcast applications all over the universe. Google, Alexa, Spotify, Speaker Podcast, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio Podcast, Amazon Podcast, TuneIn Podcast, Good Pods Podcast, Castbox Podcast, the Deezer Podcast, Podcast Addict, Podchaser. You can follow the Basic Sports Podcast on GeoSavan out of London, England, as well as India and Africa, Podtail, YouTube, Hubhopper, Stitcher Podcast, Radio Line, Pod Podcast, Luminary Podcast, Listen Notes, Podcast Wise, Podbay, Verbal Podcast, Podcast Prodigy, Podcast Republic, and there's one that used to scare me with Halloween coming up. Oh my goodness, I just had an epiphany. I might be artificial intelligence for Halloween. Give that some praise. I might be artificial intelligence. I hope I don't have to get insemination. If that makes sense to you. I want to tell you, I always produce the show. I broadcast, I direct the topics, I broadcast all the shows. I do all the sound effects based on the platform provided by the agency. We can all use more laughter in our lives. I'm telling you, the commercials are done. My commercials all run up front. Unlike most 1-hour shows, they'll do like 3 or 4 commercial breaks, and they'll do 2 or 3 commercials. Mine go up front. I just keep going and going and going and going. And the stats are provided. I even do their storytelling. I even do the play-by-play. 49ers up to the line of scrimmage, 50-yard lines. Brown with a 5-man front. 4 wideouts for the Niners. Purdy with the snap rolling to his right. It is intercepted. I mean, we heard that too many times. I got to tell Ken from Ohio. I told him there's a storm coming in from California. It is red and gold. And he laughed at me. Man, 800 gamblers. All I got to say, 800 gambler. 800 gambler. Oh, that defense was great. Come on, that was anyway. Where's Gold? Where's Gold? Robbie Gold and them Hills. No one signed Robbie Gold. Robbie Gold would have made that kick. It was 41 yards. You got Captain McKinley playing Massillon, Ohio this Friday night, and they can kick for 50 yards. It's just the way it is. All's fair in love and war. I'm telling you, something stunk in Dimdare Hills, Ohio, if that makes sense to you. And then I'm telling you, the show's uploaded to 29 podcast platforms out of New York City. And then the Jets, the Jets, they got a game over in Philadelphia. Jalen Hurts back to pass, throws off of the back foot, the ball intercepted. That doesn't make any sense. 3 interceptions in one game, and let's not talk about Caleb Williams at Notre Dame. I mean, it just 800 Gambler was all over the weekend. If that makes sense to you, he couldn't play that bad the whole year. He threw more interceptions in one game than he played all year. Doesn't make any sense. Notre Dame has just lost 2 games. I guess that's what you get when you give Lincoln Riley $10 million and he doesn't work on his defense. But that was an 800 Gamblers game. That's my opinion because I'm cynical that way. And then my show's uploaded to 4 TV platforms all over the universe. Also out of New York City. Number 10, I never missed a show since creating Big C Sports, all fair in love and war. I want to tell you what I love doing. I love paying homage to our Veterans Crisis Hotline that really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. You know anybody going through issues, pick up the phone. Call 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. And when you do, you want to give them some praise because we all need somebody to lean on. And I know our veterans need somebody to lean on if that makes sense to you. I want to say thank you to Xfinity, Comcast TV, and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Just like in Genesis 1:3, where God said, reparations now, reparations forever. I want to thank the NFL for putting in racism on the back of the end zone again. They took it away for 1 week, and now they put it back. I don't know why, what they heard to make them put it back. But if you really want to end racism, let's get the National Football League to tell Congress that we need to pass reparations. Not everybody signed an NFL contract. Not everybody's wealthy with an NFL contract. Give that some praise. Not everybody's wealthy with an NFL contract. And when we pass reparations, the same way people want a pay raise, it's a thing that we need to do for this great country, all fair and level war. And I love that NFL put in racism back. They put it back. What did Arnold Schwarzenegger say? He said, "I'd be back." They put it back on the back of the end zone. And maybe they'll speak up for it, and as opposed to just saying what a great game it was. I think I have more faith in our country than a lot of people. Because for some people want to say that we don't live in a racist country. And maybe some people are, maybe some people aren't. But if we don't live in a racist country, why are you afraid to put reparations on the back of the end zone? Who are you trying to appease? We don't want to upset the fans. What are you saying about white fans that watch the majority of these games and pay for the majority of tickets? Are you saying that white people are racist and they would turn away if you said, let's do the right thing? Is that what you feel about white people in the NFL? You think you would lose your white audience if you say, let's do the right thing? That President Abraham Lincoln thought. And he signed the Emancipation Proclamation. How is doing the right thing going to upset a Christian country? A Christian nation. No one got upset on the Me Too movement. They didn't get upset on that. But I'm so appreciative that we're right here as a baseball metaphor on the back nine. That's not a baseball metaphor. Curry, you out of your mind. Okay, golf metaphor, back nine. We're on the back nine. Let me use I want to use a golf metaphor. We're at second base. What are you talking about, Curry? There's no bases in golf. You understand I got my metaphors mixed up. But you understand what I'm saying. We're like in a basketball game. I'm on the 1 yard line. I'm about to score a touchdown. Curry, what are you talking about? There's no 1 yard line in basketball. Okay, but sometimes I get a little bit nervous. So even though I get a little bit nervous, which is not true, if I do get nervous, I ain't going to tell you what I got to do. But you all know what I got to do. But there should be, in my best English, there should be not nobody afraid of doing the right thing. There should be not nobody afraid of doing the right thing. Get that some praise. There should be not nobody afraid of doing the right thing. And I keep hearing that some people say, well, we don't want to say pay reparations because we might piss off our Christian crowd. Why would you do that? They want to do the right thing. Give doing the right thing some praise. You're almost there. In a baseball game, we're in the second quarter on the back nine. If that makes sense. In a baseball, Houston and Texas, they know what I'm talking about. We're in a baseball game. We're in the second quarter on the back nine. We're in a golf match, and we're in the red zone. Give that some praise. Mixing up metaphors. Do the right thing. I think a lot of people want to do the right thing. I have so much that I love about sports and how it mixes together. Because I saw in the Raider game, I saw all the games over the NFL over the weekend, and I saw the Raider game where they beat the New England Patriots, and ironically, they put in racism on the back of the end zone, and I appreciate the NFL for that. I want to give you praise. I know sometimes you get blamed for not doing enough. Some people say you get blamed for doing too much, but I want to make sure that I give the NFL some praise for doing that. Because in a country where people are decent and your fans are decent, that shouldn't bother anybody. It should not at all. And I think there was a time the NFL wouldn't dare put that because they did not want to upset their fans that do not believe in reparations and equality. And they buy beer too. But I think more people have come around in this great country that are willing to do the right thing. In the NFL, they have more power than they know. In fact, they knew they had the power. And imagine them leading the cause for social justice. Make Abraham Lincoln proud. Give that some praise. I don't see end racism at the baseball games. I mean, I watched a couple of playoff games. I haven't seen it. Maybe it's there. I just haven't seen it. NBA is about to tip off. I don't know what they're going to put on their courts. It's not about the sports leagues, though. It's about what Congress does. And you know, in Congress, half of the congressional members, they want to pass reparations. Half of the Senate, they're already putting it to a vote. It's not televised, but it's in the papers. As we're cheering for the games and for the teams to win. It's just time to do the right thing, and I want to give praise to people who do the right thing. I want to thank California Reparations Task Force because they say faith comes by hearing, and I believe that faith comes by hearing. I want to thank the task force members. I've met every single one of them in person. I have the chair, Camila Moore. She's brilliant. Give her some praise. Attorney for Reparative Justice. I have Vice Chair Amos Brown. He's brilliant. I want to give him praise. I got the top senator in the United States, California Senator Stephen Bradford. He's brilliant. I want to give him praise. He's also responsible for name, image, and likeness. I saw over the weekend there were some commercials. It's unfortunately, there were some kids that were missing. They happened to be black kids. And they were teenagers. There was a boy and there was a girl. I rarely seen that in my life. But Senator Stephen Bradford, listen up, reparations people, he's the one that authored that bill. It's called the Ebony Law. I know we're all familiar with the other bill that when white kids go missing, and I can't remember the name of it for some reason right now. But when white kids go missing, they would always run a person's picture on the TV. And now they have one called the Ebony Alert. And it helps get people found. I want to give Senator Stephen Bradford some praise. It's important. And now he's also making sure that reparations get passed. He's brilliant. Love giving him praise. Also, Monica Montgomery Steppe, council member. She's brilliant. Give her some praise. Assembly member Reginald Jones Sawyer. He's brilliant. Want to give him praise. Still waiting for his office to respond to National Black Wall Street letter request. So just to sit down and see how we can help you push reparations through. And Dr. Shell Grills, she's brilliant. Want to give her some praise. Also, attorney Lisa Holder, she's brilliant. Love giving her praise. Dr. Javon Scott Lewis, professor at California, Berkeley. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. And attorney Donald K. Tamaki, Japanese American, who also receives reparations as Japanese were obviously rounded up. And that's not fair, but the country paid reparations. Give them all praise. They're trying to do it now for the descendants of chattel slavery. And that's important because I want to be a part of that too. I want to be the sports broadcast that announces that. I know over the weekend I thought more people would do something about reparations for the Notre Dame USC game. They didn't do it at all. They just didn't do it. They kept talking about touchdown Jesus. I think the Associated Press, Janie Har, wrote an article about Big C Sports and reparations on March 29th, 2023. She mentioned Charlton Curry, President Joe Biden, Vice President Kamala Harris, and also California Governor Gavin Newsom. She mentioned that. And she also mentioned the United States is helping Germany pay reparations called the Just Act. They're doing that as we are breathing. And it's our turn. It's time! Give that some praise this time. We all know it. And the Just Act, Congress is making sure that reparations are being paid for the descendants of Holocaust. I'm not anti anything when it comes to doing the right thing. So I really do appreciate that. It's so important. I know we have a great country, but this is it's a seminal moment. What did Hillary Clinton say? There's a glass ceiling. Well, if it's a glass ceiling, well, I haven't seen the glass, but I've seen the ceiling, if that makes sense to you. Even Michael Jordan said the ceiling is the roof. Maybe something happens that I don't understand, but at the same time, we're at this seminal moment where you can feel it in your spirit. I want people to Google. It's called, oh, there you go again, Big C, telling people to Google. Well, if you Google Survivors Today Act of 2017, as we are breathing, Are you breathing right now? The Justice for Uncompensated Survivors Today Act of 2017 is United States legislation that requires the State Department to report to Congress on steps that 47 countries in Europe have taken to compensate Holocaust survivors and their heirs for assets seized by Nazi Germany. Nobody's complaining about that. It's the right thing to do. And now it's time for Descendants of Chattel Slavery. I want to thank CNN sponsoring Big C Sports, The Source with Caitlin Collins, weeknight CNN, 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Really do appreciate that. And then I want to thank PNC Private Bank, proud sponsors of Big C Sports Podcast, while I give them some praise for giving me some praise. I want $6 billion! $6 billion with a B. Senator Marco Rubio and colleagues reintroduce a bill to Congress to restore Holocaust survivor rights. Isn't that something? You're only going to hear that on Big C Sports. It's important that we talk about those things. It's so interesting that there are times when people just don't know because it's not national news. But United States Senator Marco Rubio, Republican of Florida, Jackie Rosen, Democrat in Nevada, Kevin Cramer, Republican North Dakota, and Rick Scott, Republican Florida, they reintroduced a bill called the Holocaust Insurance Accountability Act to make sure that beneficiaries of Holocaust era receive their money. And they can bring civil action in United States district courts against the insurers if they don't pay up. You got to give that some praise. They're fighting in the courts. They're not concerned if USC is going to beat Notre Dame in a football game. I know a lot of people are concerned about that, but they're not concerned about it. They're making sure that descendants of Holocaust era get their reparations. And you know, the country hasn't fallen apart because of it. It's the same thing that needs to be done for black Americans, descendants of chattel slavery. I want to thank Georgetown University that ironically they did not make the ESPN Sports Center. But you know what they made the ESPN, in my mind? Georgetown University pledging $1 billion of reparations to 272 families that descendants of chattel slavery they helped build Georgetown. You think that was on Sports Center? No, but they show all those black kids running up and down the football fields over the weekend. Why not do something that's more important than that? I want to thank Double O and a chairwoman for the National Black Wall Street Project and sent me an article on the United Nations that says strong leadership is crucial to make sure that reparations are paid to descendants of chattel slavery. It's a countdown to human rights. Isn't that something? A countdown to human rights. This is September 19th, 2023. It says strong leadership and political will are crucial to ensure reparatory justice for people of African descent. That's a United Nations report. I know that did not make ESPN. They only want to make sure that they talk about sports. Now, they'll talk about side notes too, but this is important. Came out of Geneva and New York City, September 19, 2023. It says an in-depth United Nations report. It focused on reparatory justice for people of African descent. It was published on the 19th of September. That's important. And it urges states to show strong leadership and political will in tackling the lasting consequences of enslavement, the trade in enslaved Africans, and colonialism. The report to the United Nations sent to me by Double O, United Nations General Assembly by the United Nations Secretary General. It sets out a series of concrete steps for states in the United States and the international community to address the continued harm suffered by people of African descent, highlighting the intrinsic link between the legacies of colonialism and enslavement and contemporary forms of systemic racism and racial discrimination, intolerance, and xenophobia faced by people of African descent. You got to realize this is why you won't see it on SportsCenter, you won't see it on NFL Network, you won't see it on CBS Sports or NBC Sports. You'll hear some of it on CNN. It's estimated that between 25 and 30 million people were violently uprooted from Africa for enslavement in the transatlantic trade. And enslaved Africans caused the largest and most concentrated deportation of human beings involving several regions of the world during more than 4 centuries. during more than 4 centuries. And Congress is trying to pass reparations. They just need more people to say, yeah, we deserve it. Slavery and the slave trade are prohibited under international human rights laws. And enslavement has been recognized. It has been recognized by the United Nations among the acts constituting, under specific circumstances, a crime against humanity. We see what's going on right now all over the news with wars and things happening that people put on the news every day. Why don't you hear more about what slavery did and how the United States benefited from it? Because it's right there for all of us to face and give that praise for the United Nations doing the right thing. Who could be mad at the United Nations? I want to thank T-Mobile, America's largest 5G network, proud sponsors of Big C Sports. I wish they'd give me some free phones because I like to have free phones. All's fair in love and war. I want to thank the National Black Wall Street Project as a co-chair in Northern California. I really want to just congratulate people and for the national media that are doing their part to make sure that reparations is acknowledged. I also want to thank President Joe Biden. He can sign executive order. I mean, he's doing executive order on a lot of issues, but his first day in office, this article sent to me by Double O, he signed executive order 13985. And they're discussing reparations in Congress as we speak, as we are breathing. Are you breathing? President Biden back studying reparations as Congress considers a bill. You got to give that some praise. Why doesn't that make the news? Because most of our brethren, and I'm asking our black brethren to at least give that some praise. I'm asking our clergy to at least give that some praise. You asked for the tithe. A House panel has heard testimony on legislation that would create a commission to examine the history of slavery in the United States as well as discriminatory government policies that affected former slaves and their descendants. Isn't that something? And I think the NFL is trying to help out by putting in racism on the back of end zones. But they want to say stop hate. They need to say reparations now. In fact, let me do it the way Big C says it. He says reparations now, reparations forever. And for people who are afraid to talk about reparations, Congress is talking about it as we are breathing. Are you breathing? President Biden backs the idea of studying the issue. And it needs to be done. Because it's there. This is bigger than Big C Sports. But it's hard to find other people to do it. Now, President Biden, he captured the Democratic presidential nomination, ultimately the White House, with the strong support of black voters, as he campaigned against the backdrop of the biggest reckoning of some of the racism that happened in the country. But even the United Nations is saying black Americans deserve reparations. They say reparations now, reparations forever. Now, you mark my words, the election's about 13 months out. You're going to see more people campaigning in the black communities with the black churches asking you to vote for them. And I want to give praise to Representative Sheila Jackson Lee, a Democrat from Texas. And she has 173 co-sponsors for her bill. 173 co-sponsors for her bill. We can't find hardly any of our black brethren in media that talk about this, but they'll talk about some entertainer dating a football player. They'll put more time on an entertainer dating a football player than they will on 173 co-sponsors of a bill that's sponsored by Representative Sheila Jackson Lee, a Democrat of Texas, for reparations. Said the descendants of slaves continue to suffer the legacy of that brutal system and the enduring racial inequality. And now they're trying to get it done. Because when people say, oh, I don't want my taxpayers going to pay for those slaves. I didn't own slaves. You knucklehead. The government, the United States government, it sanctions slavery. And that is what we need reckoning with. A healing and reparative justice. Show me the money! Isn't that what Jerry Maguire said? in the movie Show Me the Money. They're doing it for a Holocaust heirs as we are breathing. They're long past marching. They're long past it. And so I just want to give that praise because it takes brave people. I know we drunk in love with sports. I know we want to know who won the game. And that's important too. I know people put more emphasis on Deion Sanders than they do on reparations for all black Americans descendants of child of slavery. Whether Colorado wins or not, that's just a game. I'm not talking about practice. I'm talking about the game. They were up 29 points. I'm not talking about practice. I'm talking about the game. Now, you'll hear Allen Iverson's statement one time when he played NBA basketball. I'm not talking about practice. I'm talking about the game. I'm talking about practice, not the game. I'm talking about practice. You hear more of that from Georgetown. He came out of Georgetown, but you don't hear about reparations, do you? Why not? One benefits a whole group of people. Why not do the same information? Because some people are disingenuous. But that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I want to give that phrase, reparations. I love thanking my family legacy before I get into the sports. On my mother's side, my great-grandmother called her Mama, beautiful, loving, kind woman, always making sure lots of love with the family, lots of food in the belly. My beautiful great-granddaddy called him Papa, former military man and former Negro League baseball player, known around his church buddies as making the best moonshine in the history of the universe. He did that because they didn't have all the blood pressure medications. They did the moonshine and ate herbs out of the garden and lived into the 90s, if that makes sense to you. And then I want to thank my beautiful grandmother, Muddy, beautiful, loving, kind woman, always making sure lots of love in the family and lots of food in the belly. She's a seer, could oftentimes look at a person and tell you a lot about their past, present, and future. She still helps me to this day. And then my beautiful grandfather, Hezekiah, another wonderful person, could oftentimes look at a person and tell you what's going on in their lives, past, present, and future. And then I can always depend on my mama, the most beautiful mama in the history of the universe. Started a Head Start program, a food program, and coaching all boys, a Little League baseball team to the championship of the universe. Come on, in an all-man's league. And won the championship. Best person I ever met in my life. Always saying rise and shine. I love my mama with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. On my beautiful father's side, my grandfather, former pastor, had 3 churches and had owned 2 gas stations, but he also owned 40 acres of land, like the Emancipation Proclamation. Really do appreciate my granddaddy. And then my beautiful grandmother working side by side with my grandfather with the 3 churches and the 2 gas stations. I was walking through a hallway. I was 8 years old, walking through a hallway in Oakland. It was about 10 o'clock at night. And I felt someone touch me on my forehead. It was her. She said, "What are you doing, young man, going to get some more cookies?" I said, "What are you doing up? It's 10 o'clock at night. You normally go to bed at 8:30, Grandma." And she said, "Are you going to get some more cookies, young man?" I said, "Cookies are baby crap to what I'm doing, Grandma. I'm going to get my reparations." And she said, "There's something about your voice. I love hearing you speak." She let me get some more cookies, too. But I'll never forget that. And now I'm on 29 podcast platforms. How did that happen? And now I need $6 billion. Imagine God giving Big C Sports $6 billion. Even no matter where it comes from. Got some Saudi Arabian prince that listens to Big C Sports podcast. I want $6 billion because I want to be able to afford a full tank of gas. And I want to help create podcasts all over the world for people. More people are doing it. Big C Sports is one of the first sports podcasters out there. Started doing it in 2015. Now everybody has a podcast. They learned it. I'm not saying, they are what they are. You either like them or you don't. But what do they talk about? The substance that's going to benefit people. For all the black men doing sports podcasts, imagine if our black sports agents and the way they push to get an athlete, like Rich Paul and a lot of other, Everett Davis, there's a lot of great black attorneys and sports agents, some white guys too, Lee Steinberg. There's a lot of great men out there that are doing good work. And they know that African Americans have to go through hell just for equality. We think about how sometimes times can be trying for a lot of people just getting a fair opportunity. Imagine what our grandparents and parents went through Jim Crow. Through Jim Crow! In the same way, our great sports agent with these brilliant minds Rich Paul was on a CNN, I think it was CBS 60 Minutes special just about last week. and they were talking about his rise from growing up in the tough streets to now becoming one of the top sports agents in the United States, maybe even in the world. And that's great how they help athletes. He signed LeBron James, Draymond Green. A lot of athletes have signed under Rich Paul. He's a brilliant man. I hope to meet him someday. What if these men could take their brilliance and multiply their brilliance to not just athletes, but what if you could work with the Congress in creating reparations like Georgetown has done for descendants of chattel slavery, and you work with Big C Sport and the National Black Wall Street Project? What if you take our most brilliant black minds, and white minds too, the ones that want to help, and realize that President Biden right now, they have Congress talking about a bill to pass reparations now, reparations forever. And it's one thing when you have an athlete get a 10-year, $200 million contract. That's great. But it only helps that person and maybe some of their relatives. But what could you mean to the history of this country, and you tie yourself to President Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass as our brilliant black athletes and entertainers and politicians work together to do what's been done for descendants of Holocaust, like Marco Rubio, what they're doing. They're making sure they get paid. And what if we took our brilliant minds that have a lot more power than Big C Sports and just come together and work with the Congress to pass reparations now, reparations forever? Imagine what that would do for the masses of black Americans. Now how much more proud are our great-great-grandparents that are in heaven as they look down on us in heaven and they see it said, touchdown, home run, three-point play, old man Willie, he's going all the way. You know, a lot of them, they grew up in Jim Crow. They grew up in Jim Crow. They couldn't even go to whatever restroom they wanted to. I remember the other day I was going to meet a client of mine, and I had to pee so bad. I thought about peeing on the side of the road because I couldn't really hold it. But then I said, no, if I do that, then something's going to happen and take that picture at that moment. And I don't want to do that to myself. Plus, I think it's illegal to pee on the side of the road. I mean, it's in the dirt. But everybody knows what I mean. Sometimes you got to use the bathroom so bad. And you just want to find a place to relieve yourself. So you look for a gas station. Some of the gas stations are so filthy. I don't want to go in those restrooms. You can't even about pass out walking to the bathroom in some of these gas stations. So I went to a little fast food place, and I tried to go to the bathroom. They had the door locked. I said, excuse me, you got the code for your restroom? And they said, like 777-9311. And they gave me the code. I was able to use the restroom. But could you imagine our great-grandparents and some of our mothers and fathers? They couldn't take a pee when they wanted to. In this great country called the United States of America. Imagine how painful that was. Not holding your pee, but just wanting to use it said colored restrooms and white restrooms. Imagine that. And now we as a black people, the ones who have made millions, we have the power now to change things in Congress. The same way we help an athlete make money. And our ancestors looking down on us from heaven, knowing that they couldn't use any restroom they wanted to like we can. And then we let 60 Minutes interview us about how you're going to sign another athlete to a big contract. Use that same brain power to help the country pass reparations for black Americans. The same way they do it for descendants of the Holocaust. Imagine now how much more powerful you're going to be, how much more respected you are, how much more our ancestry in heaven are proud of us. Because a lot of us, our great-grandparents and grandparents, they're gone. They're in heaven now. But imagine if they could look down and as we were praying and asking God to bless our food, imagine what it would mean to them as they're shining down on us from heaven and they realize that we got the guts to do the right thing. And that's make sure that we all are taken care of. In the country that robbed us, now they're trying to pay up, but they can't find enough people who are interested. Every time they see black Americans on TV, it's about touchdown, home run, three-point play, old man Willie, he's going all the way. And you watch when the NBA starts. I hope they're going to do something about this because I know there's a lot of people who are very smart and they realize that Abraham Lincoln was right. I know we want to watch the game. And I'm going to talk about that too. But I feel like I'm on the back nine of a golf match. And I'm about to shoot 66 and win this thing. And then somebody said, Curry, you actually on the front nine. Okay, but you understand my point. So what I shot 66 on the front nine. I still got 9 more holes to go. But at least I'm swinging. At least I'm trying to put the ball. Get in the hole! I'm trying to get it in the hole. Because Congress is listening. The NFL's listening. That's why they put end racism on the back of the end zones. But that's my story. And I'm sticking with it. Really do appreciate my granddaddy and my grandmothers and my father, former United States Air Force fighter pilot, chief mechanic, always making sure that planes can fly high so we could all stay safe at night. And then my beautiful brother Todd with that bombastic voice, sound like thunder and lightning when Todd would speak. Always saying go forward. And then my beautiful daughter Daisy, the most beautiful daughter in the history of the universe. Stepping ahead, I'm telling you, 2 degrees with honors in 3.5 years from a major university. Set up the very first interview for Big C Sports. And now Big C Sports is the only sports podcaster in the universe that's championing reparations, and it's going to happen. It's happening as we are breathing. If we could just get another, more good men, and even the black men and black women that are afraid to talk about this stuff because it's the biggest sin the country's ever committed. If you're afraid to talk to your boss about doing something that honors this country, then maybe go pray with them. Ask them what do they hate about helping what President Abraham Lincoln tried to do. They can't hate that. They can't think that white people are so evil they're going to tune off the program. There's a lot of white citizens who want to pass reparations too. Like Senator Elizabeth Warren, Democrat, Massachusetts. We need to get this done. And just imagine, I know a lot of people don't have the courage right now. And it takes time to build up your courage. But we're not going to live forever. Imagine in our lifetime, it's wonderful when you sign a multiple contract, a big contract, or someone's coming to your concerts or going to your movies. What if Taylor Swift could start saying, you know what? Reparations is important. President Abraham Lincoln, he was white too. Instead of just showing her dating a football player, what if she used her influence to say, let's get together with Congress and the Senate and pass reparations for the sin as a child of slavery? Sing that song! What if Beyonce got together and sang that song too? Because we have ancestry in heaven that didn't have the opportunities we have to this day. And they loved us with everything they got and everything they had. And still to this day we pray. And they would be so proud of our society for all the influence we have to not have to worry about colored drinking fountains and colored restrooms because they had to. And now that we broke through that glass ceiling that Hillary Clinton talked about, and now we have the most influence, and we say nothing! Buy my ticket to my concert. Buy my ticket to my movie. Buy my ticket to come see me play. That same influence can be used for reparations. It's already happened for descendants of Holocaust. Now it's time for descendants of child of slavery. Daisy said at the very first interview, love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. You can be anything you want to be. My very handsome son, Malcolm, the most handsome son in the history of the universe. College student, senior, very smart, a good man. Helped me save trees. I used to always get newspapers and look up stats for Big C Sports Podcast. One day, Malcolm said, Dad, why don't you just Google it? And the light bulb went off. I've been Googling ever since, now on 29 platforms. Now co-chair of the National Black Wall Street Project in Northern California. One day, Malcolm said, Dad, you want to see Big C Sports on TV? I said, sure. He said, pick up the remote, aim it at the TV, and say, play Big C Sports. You'll see your show come up. That's before it was even on the air. And now, that same daddy, Malcolm, I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. You can be anything you want to be. That same father is now part of the co-chair of the National Black Wall Street Project in Northern California, helping get reparations for descendants of child slavery. Reparations now, reparations forever. Anything you want to be. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Doing Big C, all that wealth of knowledge over the years. My great granddaddy coming out of that barn saying, you gotta believe, you gotta believe, you gotta believe. Let's get ready to rumble. I love to say welcome to the show. As we nominated Big C Sports Podcast, I have no scripts. No derivative teleprompters, no producer in my ear. I do it with my higher self. Tonight we got some NFL football. You can give that some praise. Tonight we got NFL football. The Los Angeles Chargers. The lightning bolts on the helmet taking on the Dallas Cowboys. From how about those Cowboys out of Texas? When you think about it, Monday Night Football, the Chargers play host to the Dallas Cowboys in the final game of Week 6 in Los Angeles at beautiful SoFi Stadium. And the Cowboys coming off of a pretty rough meeting with the 49ers up in San Francisco, Denver Hills, California. And now the Chargers, they're trying to get their groove in their own home stadium. The Chargers also bring with them former Cowboys offensive coordinator Kellen Moore, who was cast aside this offseason and is sure to be out of for revenge against his former squad. Can the Cowboys bounce back from their loss to the 49ers? Can the Chargers create some momentum out of their bye week? We're going to find out soon. Game already kicked off 8:15 p.m. East Coast time out of SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California. You can see the game on ABC and ESPN. You can stream it on Fubo TV and follow on the CBS Sports app. The Cowboys are a 1.5-point favorite. The over-under is 51. I'm not sure how to read this game, but a team that comes off a bye week usually has more power under their legs, and that's why you got to look at how even. I won't say it's an evenly matched game, but I'm telling you, the Chargers are coming off a bye week. Everything's in their favor to win. They're at home. Dallas may have the fans there, but I'm going to give the Chargers a chance to win this game on a last-second field goal, if that makes sense to you. Also, got some Major League Baseball before I get into football recap. Major League Baseball, all fair and level war. The Diamondbacks in Game 1 and the NLCS, Zach Wheeler for Philadelphia against Zach Gallen for Arizona. And I'm telling you, that game will be taking place. Texas is undefeated in the postseason. Now 7-0. They lead the best of 7 in the ALCS 2-0 against the defending World Series champion, and that's the Houston Astros. We will see what happens down in the Battle of Texas. All we know is all's fair and level war, especially when you're playing games in Texas, if that makes sense to you. I got to get into what happened in the NFL, Big C's NFL recaps. We all saw what it was. I thought the 49ers got robbed back in Cleveland, all fair and level war. Some great games happened over the weekend. The Kansas City Chiefs, they started out with a 19-8 win over the Denver Broncos on Thursday Night Football, all fair and level war touchdown. There's no place like Mahomes made sure that the Chiefs kept winning. The Baltimore Ravens 24, the Tennessee Titans 16. Costly penalties hurt the Ravens defense throughout the game, highlighted by safety Kyle Hamilton being ejected on the Titans' first touchdown drive. All fair and level war, they found a way to get that win. The Miami Dolphins, who that say they gonna beat them Dolphins? Over the Carolina Panthers 42-21. They were down 14-0. Panthers rookie quarterback Bryce Young, he looked better this week. His team was up 14-0 to start the game, but did not score again. He finished 23 of 38, 217 passing yards, and 1 passing touchdown, 1 interception. But Miami's very, very good. Looking like Miami's on a collision course for Las Vegas on February the 11th, if that makes sense to you. Houston Texans 20. Who that say they're going to beat them Saints? 13. D'Amico Ryans has his team playing. The Saints receivers once again looked nearly unstoppable, but it wasn't enough to get the win. Chris Olave saw 10 targets, caught 7 passes, 96 yards. And I'm telling you, D'Amico Ryans has a good team down in Texas. The Washington Commanders 24. Atlanta Falcons 16, giving the defensive spotlight to the Falcons' entire defensive line. Dallas Campbell, Bud Dupree, Grady Garrett, and Arnold Ikebiti each got at least 1 sack, with Dupree recording a sack and a half with Ikebiti. All fair and level. Jacksonville Jaguars 37, Indianapolis Colts 20. That was surprising to me. The Colts rookie wide receiver Josh Downs scored on a nice touchdown pass on a speed out to the left side, creating a ton of separation on the defender, securing the ball with 2 feet down before going out of bounds. Jacksonville, they're a really good team. They went across the pond, and now they're back, and they're playing good football. Trevor Lawrence, that guy, he has a great arm, has a defense that plays hard for him. Be careful for Jacksonville. Cincinnati Bengals 17, the Seattle Seahawks 13. I told you, in a real fight, a bingo with Maul, a Seahawk. And they almost got eaten by a Seahawk. Geno Smith had a wildly inconsistent game. He did pass for 323 yards and almost 8 yards per clip. Every time you saw him look up, he was delivering a big play to his receivers. But it wasn't enough. Cincinnati They found a way with touchdown Joe Burrow to get that game done, and they also caused a mishap for Seattle on the last play of the game. Minnesota Vikings 19, Chicago Bears 13 at the Windy City. Vikings coordinator for defense is Brian Flores. Knew exactly how to get the Bears quarterback Jeff. I'm telling you, Justin Fields, I'm telling you, he's going to be good. Needs some little bit extra help. You just got to get a better offensive line. And you look at what Minnesota, they were struggling, but they get a 19-13 win over the Bears without Jefferson, All-Friend, Evan War. I got another big game. Cleveland, this is for you. And the Las Vegas Special, the Cleveland Browns 19, San Francisco 49ers. And some of the officiating, they had 12 penalties. And the pass interference or personal foul on a 3rd down and 10 that gave Cleveland the ball back, that was egregious, among other things. Also, Deebo Samuel's out of the game, and then also Christian McCaffrey out of the game. But they had a chance. The only rookie to play more than 2 snaps for either side of the Browns right tackle, Darlin Jones, who continued his solid effort as a starter after being forced into the lineup early in the season. He had one of his better performances as a run blocker, was extremely good against the Niners defense. But the Niners blew that game. If you don't have a passing game, just try to run it left, run it right. All's fair and never work, but they had a chance to kick a field goal with 41 yards away, and they missed it wide right. Oh, my goodness. But that game was given to Cleveland. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Las Vegas Raiders 21 and New England Patriots 17. They were asking Bill Belichick, what's he going to do to get the Patriots back on the winning track? He said, we're going to have to try to score more points at our opponent. That's his words, and he's sticking with it. Patriots wide receiver Kendrick Bourne, he continued a strong start to the season, finishing with 10 receptions, 89 yards, and 3 missed tackles. He forced, on first review, Bourne had 39 receiving yards after contact. What a game he had. The Raiders, Jimmy Garoppolo got knocked out of the game with some sore ribs. All's fair and love and war. But Raiders receiver Jacoby Myers, he got to have his revenge game against a team that did not re-sign him in the offseason, and it doesn't make any sense. Brian Hoyer also played for the Patriots, also deserves a mention. He completed 6 of 10 passes, 102 yards in relief, averaging more than 10.2 yards per attempt. And the Raiders got the win. Detroit Lions 20, Tampa Bay Buccaneers 6. Tampa Bay Buccaneers linebacker Devontae David finished with the contest. 12 combined tackles to lead both teams. 1 sack, 1 pass defended, and 2 tackles for loss. He had a game-high 6 stops pending. I'm telling you, the Detroit Lions are a very solid football team. Los Angeles Rams 29, 26, the Arizona Cardinals 9. The Cardinals rookie wide receiver Michael Wilson continued his impressive start to the NFL career. He had 3 receptions, 62 yards, and 2 contested catches on the first review. There's something about the Rams. They have Darnold, who's probably one of the top 4 or 5 defensive linemen in the game. They held Arizona in check and got the win, 26-9. How about those Jets? Jets. The New York Football Jets 20. The Philadelphia Eagles 14. Despite the loss, Eagles wide receiver A.J. Brown stood out. He finished the day leading all receivers 131 yards on 7 catches from 10 targets, and 2 of his grabs were contested, and he forced 3 missed tackles. I'm telling you, I think he's the only receiver in the NFL to have 5 games in a row with over 125 yards. I got to give that brother some praise. All fair and more. The Buffalo Bills 14, the New York Football Giants 9. That game came down to the wire. Tyrod Taylor, he wasn't perfect, but at the same time, a check at the goal line cost his team a shot at a field goal to end the first half, and he saved 7 of 9 minutes off the seconds off the clock with a 6-yard scramble and a play that just went down to the wire for this game. He finished 24-36, 200 yards, and added 23 yards on the ground. And this game was right there for the Giants to win. But Buffalo, with their defense, they stepped up and they played the game the way you're supposed to game, and they got the win. You got to give them some praise. All's fair and never war. I want to talk just a little bit about some college football. I really want to do it more justice tomorrow. But what I love about college football this week, not the game USC at Notre Dame, which was the game I was looking forward to, but I thought that was just a shell of a game. Stanford got their first win of the season, coming back in overtime to beat Colorado. But the Washington Huskies and the Oregon Ducks, I wasn't right on all my picks this weekend, but I said Washington would win that game. It was a great football game. The season featured a lot of everything so far for Oregon and Washington, both going into the game undefeated, 115th matchup, both in the top 10, and now that game went right down to the wire. Number 7 Washington, they outlasted Oregon after the Huskies scored the game-winning touchdown in the game's final minutes, and the Ducks missed what would have been the game-tying field goal as time expired. But Michael Penix Jr., Southpaw quarterback, 2 passes, touchdown when the Huskies needed it most. I think he right now might be the leading candidate for the Heisman Trophy. I had Caleb Williams going into this game, but Caleb had such a bad game at Notre Dame, 3 interceptions on the game. He only had 1 going into it, and he did have a touchdown called back, but I thought that was a Las Vegas special at Notre Dame too. But Michael Penix Jr., he's the real deal. He had the knee injuries and all that, but he's like Warren Moon, Southpaw Warren Moon. He'll be a number 1 draft pick in the NFL. And then I want to tell you, Notre Dame and USC, it was not really a football game. Oh, no, I guess Notre Dame got the revenge for last year's beatdown at the Coliseum. 48-20 over USC. It's like they were giving them handoffs and giving them footballs to score touchdowns with, especially at the end of that game. At one point, it was Notre Dame. I think it was 31, USC 20, and they went on to roll off more points to win at 48-20. Number 15, Oregon State knocked off number 18, UCLA, up in the great state of Oregon in another big Pac-12 matchup, and they won 36-24. I picked that game right as well. And then North Carolina, ranked number 12, they took control in the second half against number 25, Miami, Florida. They won 41-31 to remain undefeated, if that makes sense to you. You want to give college football some praise? I know everybody has their own thoughts about who's going to win a national championship. But I think this is why we need the expansion of the playoffs. If you're going to pick 4 top teams to play for a national championship, let's just say if things are as they are right now, you have Georgia in there, Michigan, Ohio State got to play each other, so one of them will knock each other off. And let's just say if a school like Florida State or Washington that's undefeated, they're so good. And then you have a school like Texas. You have TCU that has 1 loss. I mean, there's so many good football teams out there. It's a shame that we only have 4 teams that get in. But I love college football for the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. I just wish the best for everybody trying to make it a great year. And I hope that more and more colleges, because Georgetown did it, and they talk about reparations. Why not talk about reparations for the kickoff of college football? Because young people make things happen. Some old people are set in their ways. But college is for higher education. That's what it's for. Don't make reparations a matter that people don't want to talk about because Congress is talking about it. No one complain that we have money for the descendants of Holocaust. No one should complain that we need money for the descendants of child slavery. We should give that praise. I want to commend the NFL on saying end racism because somebody gave the order. They said, turn it off! And they erased it from the end zones last week. They had something about make the catch. Well, now they put it back on. And I would hope that the NFL would want to be so decent that they lead the cause with their black sports agents and white sports agents too, and the Congress and the news media to give that some respect that what President Abraham Lincoln tried to do was the right thing. Imagine being a white person, you got to go to the urinal and you got to, oops, I can't go to that one, it says blacks only. But they didn't have that problem. Imagine being in a car, you're tired, you want to drive to a hotel and get nice rest, and it says you can't sleep here because it's not for white people. Imagine that. Black Americans had to go through that from cradle to grave. And now the country's trying to do the right thing and pass reparations. And I say reparations now, reparations forever. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. If you're going to drink, don't drive. If you're going to drive, don't drink because mothers against drunk drivers are mad and fathers against drunk drivers are mad. It's one of the easiest things not to do. You could call Uber, you could call Lyft, you could walk it off, you could sleep it off. But the life you save may be your own or somebody that you love. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Well, you know what time it is. Back in the day, there's a man known by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, with all you got to use, how can you lose? You float like a butterfly and you sting like a bee. Rumble, young man, rumble. Ali would say, I'm so pretty, I can't possibly be beat. Because listening to Big C Sports makes me realize that reparations now, reparations forever. We deserve to back Congress members that want to pass reparations. My beautiful mother always says there's never ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. No man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. When my mother grew up, they had black and white drinking fountains and black and white restrooms. How dare our country treat our citizens that way? We deserve reparations now. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. I'm going to honor President Abraham Lincoln as we stand up for the kickoff. Will you stand up with me when he said, reparations now, reparations forever? Let's honor President Abraham Lincoln 2 more times. Let's stand up for the kickoff. When he said, reparations now, reparations forever. Let's honor President Abraham Lincoln right now so that Congress can hear it. I was at a football game over the weekend. They said, we got spirit. Yes, we do. We got spirit. How about you? I say reparations now, reparations forever. I thank you. I appreciate you. And I hope that you have a super fantastic day.